Hello viewers, welcome you all back to my channel. So today's video will help you to build a dependent data validation completely in a dynamic way. So let me show you the input and output first so that you will get to know what we are speaking about, and later on we can move towards the procedures. So here I do have a list of key and values. So all the keys stands for the category and the value stands for the subcategory. So in my master data, when a user selects one particular category value, then we have to generate a list of we have to generate dynamic list of subcategories corresponding to that particular category. So in this case, since the user has selected certificate, uh, we have to generate a list of subcategory just with the certificates. Let's uh, try this for something else. Let me select license and let me select, yeah, so it's getting generated completely in a dynamic way. So let's see how to build this. Before that, I will explain you how we are going to achieve this. This is going to be achieved in 3 steps. So let's go ahead.
All right. So step one, here we do have the initial data that contains all the categories and the subcategories. We are going to segregate this initial data. We are going to break this down into a small table that's going to serve as the transit table. So I'll show you the transit data. So this is how the transit data works. Looks like so it contains all the categories on top and then all the subcategories behind them. So this table, though it looks like a table, this is not actually a table, and this is completely dynamic. I will show you how to generate this table, and this table is going to serve as the input for the data validation further. So let's move towards the step one. As part of step one, let's create a new worksheet called transit data, and we are going to generate the transit table in this worksheet. So let's start with this. If you look into this initial data, it contains all the categories like certificate, license, certificate. So we do have duplicate values. So first thing, we have to remove the duplicates among them. So I'm going to use the formula unique, and I'm going to feed in this array, this particular array for the as an input for this formula. So that returns me all the values. Now I want them on top as the headers. So that's how I have shown you in the transit data. So I'm going to apply the formula transpose. So transpose will change the column into row and rows into column. All right. So here I got all the values as the headers. So let's try adding something new. Test. Let me check if I'm getting that here. Yes. So since this is dynamic array, whatever we add, we will be able to see them completely in a dynamic way. So let me delete this. Right. Now we have to apply the filter formula. We have to apply the filter based on the top value. So here I need all the certificate values, and here I need in B2 I need the license values. So that's how it's going to be. Let me apply this formula. So I'll show you this formula as well. Filter. So which array needs to be filtered? So I need this array to be filtered. Just follow these conventions. I'm just using this convention just to paste the value as such in all the places, and then comma. Oh, okay, let me close this. It's complete now. Comma, which value needs to be included? So any value where the data is equal to certificate, so that needs to be included. So let's again go back here. So just follow along the formula. Is equal to, should be this value. Let me log the, so anyway we are going to traverse along the column, so let me just log the uh, so anyway when we so the reason why I put dollar in front of one is, if we move this formula across B column or C column, it should still look for the first row always. So that's the reason I have put a dollar in front of one. Okay, so I think that's enough. So here we go. We got the right values for the certificate. Now uh, let me just copy this formula to randomly to multiple cells. So click on the formula and then control enter. So that actually copies. Oh, apologies, I think something went wrong. Okay, it should not be copied for all the uh, rows. Actually it must be copied just for the second row. Let me redo. All right, so wherever we have the values like license, generic, learn, schedule, we got the values. In other places we are able to see the calculator. So in order to avoid that, let me handle the exception if error. So let's display a empty value if error. Now let me apply this formula for all the references. Right, now my data is bit clear. Now let me just apply the borders so that it will be even more clear for you. Okay, so yeah, I have applied borders for you, and then now I think now it's much better. So now we are done with the step one, where we have generated the dynamic table. So before I move on to step two, I want you all to understand one small trick here. So we call them as actually the dynamic arrays. So dynamic arrays usually have formula just on the first cell where it gets applied, and you must be able to see the grayed out formulas on the next cells. In order to pick the dynamic arrays, for example, here we do have the values starting from the row A2. So in order to pick the values, all the values, so if you let me just type A2. If I just type A2, I just receive the value that's in A2. But if I just type hash, that actually helps me to get the complete value. So this hash is going to play the key role in step 2. Let's see the step 2. Now here I have the category and then subcategory. So my first objective is to apply the data validation for this category. So let me remove the existing one so that I will show you how to apply the fresh data validation. Any value. So okay, so now we don't have any data validation at all. So here as well, let me remove the data validation. uh, okay, now it's a clean slate. We can start. Now I have to apply the data validation for the category. So all the category values are on top of this transit data sheet. So now go to this, select this table data validation, and then uh, list, select list, source, just click on this, click on this sheet, and then select $a$1. That's the initial reference, and then add a hash next to that. This hash will help you to get the complete list values that's in the row. Now let's see. Yes. So now we are given with all the values that are in the rows. So it has actually given all the values that comes along with this dynamic array. Good. Now, so now we have the categories ready. Now we have to go for the subcategories. So here I'm going to teach you a new function called offset function. So offset function is basically used to travel through a range of cells. So it gets you the starting point, and then it helps you to navigate the number of columns and rows which you would like to navigate. So we are going to use the offset function here. Before writing offset function into the data validation, just follow along with me. I'll show you. Let's try writing this offset function in the same sheet. Okay, offset. So this reference looks for the starting point. So here I'm going to feed in the starting point of this dynamic table. Uh, so let me again fix this. Shortcut is the F4 hash. So since I have okay, I don't need to give hash. I just looks for the starting point and then the number of rows. So we are always going to stay on the first row. Let me give the number of rows as 1. Column. Now here comes the tricky part. So here I have the value as certificate. I have to give the exact number of certificates. So it always looks for something from 0. So for now let me give 0 and then height. So it will actually locate the certificate cell, and from there I have to add one row. That's the third party certificate 1. So I don't need to give column. Let me check. Yes, I got third party certificate value. Now if I give a hash next to this, yeah, I got the entire values that are associated with the certificate. Now here let me just change this column reference to 1. Now I must be able to get the license values. Okay, so it's pretty clear how the formula works. It starts from one value, so it starts from dollar, I mean the first cell. It starts from the first cell, and then so we are giving the row value as 1. That's the constant value, and so this part is going to be dynamic. So for now, in order to explain you the formula, I have given the static values. So we have seen what happens when we give 0 and 1. Let's give 2. So that gives the general message. Now, so we have just one part left with this. We have to make this value as a dynamic one based on whatever selected in the category. If category is selected as certificate, we have to find out the location of certificate in this table. If category is selected as license, we have to find out the license value in this table header. So now let's see how to do that. I'm going to use a function called match. So this match function is used to match the values, and then it returns a reference. I mean it returns the number lookup value. Which value we need to look on? So we have to look into a2 in this sheet. So anyway, we have to traverse through the rows. So let me add dollar in front of column. Let me fix the column. Dollar a2 comma, in which array are we going to look this? So we are going to look this in this array that's on the category header. So in order to select array, I'm going to give hash and then 0. So all right, I think now let's see what gets written. I think it's not correct. So we have actually opted for the certificate, but I'm returned with the license values. That's because offset always starts from 0. Offset starts its reference from 0, 1, 2, 3 like that, but match actually starts from 1. So we have to subtract 1 from this. Now I must be able to get the right value. So we are ready with the formula. We can go ahead, apply this formula into the data validation. So select subcategories, go to data validation, list, that's it. So I think yes. So it's completely dynamic. Now let's try adding some new categories and then new subcategories. So let me add test data validation. Let's see. So this test data validation came in the that comes in the transit data. Now let me select this test here, and I got this data validation here. So that works like a charm. So that's it. I think we have achieved a completely dynamic data validation, dependent data validation using the dynamic arrays and offset function. So hope you would have enjoyed the video. uh, so if you would like to see more such videos, please stay subscribed to the channel. uh, Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and support us. Thank you.